Did you know that Garth Ennis, the man behind Crossed, The Boys, and Punisher Max, did you know that he wrote Star Wars comics? That's right, 2 short stories from the galaxy far, far away. So sit back and relax as we gobble up a scrumptious appetizer. Hey guys, I'm your host, Juan, with a mini episode. Yeah, I'm working on a longer video, but I thought I'd get this one out for you guys in the meantime. It's pretty short stuff, so I'll keep this intro short as well. Alright, so both tales were written by Garth Ennis, and the art on the first one was done by John McCrea, and the second one was done by Amanda Connor. Alright, make sure to like and subscribe. But enough with all that, let's jump right in. Our story opens on an unnamed Stormtrooper, trying his best to remain calm and stand still. He's in formation with the rest of his unit, but all he wants to do is tear off his heavy armor and scream. Everyone in the company knows what's coming next. They've done this dance dozens of times. The Star Destroyer has captured a rebel ship, and soon a squad of men will be picked out to force their way inside. However, it's an open death warrant. The first men in always get cut down. They're the sacrificial lambs who clear the way for others behind them in what amounts to a cold game of attrition warfare. Our Stormtrooper prays that he isn't selected. He's been lucky thus far in his career, but time always runs out. He thinks back to his life on his home world, Greater Marianas. Bet you never heard of it. No one has. It was a dusty wasteland with zero opportunity and no future. His father was a hunter who was on his feet constantly working every single day, and he taught our protagonist everything he knew. There was this certain saying he liked to repeat. He told his son that every man is born the same. Doesn't matter how rich or poor they become, they're all born free beneath the stars. Strip him, starve him, beat him, take him for everything he has. To the last, man retains that kernel of freedom within him, and anyone who tries to seize that from him is the lowest trash there is. It was a noble sentiment, but our hero didn't put much stock into it. What did his old man know about the infinite beyond their small town? One day, as the pair rode into the city, they found the citizens gathered around a large ship parked at the center square. An Imperial officer, dressed well in pristine uniform, stepped out. In a lofty voice, he declared that the entire planet was now under Empire protection. Going forward, Greater Marianas would now be obligated to pay taxes to the Galactic Empire, rumored to be quite exorbitant. Upon hearing this, the father stepped forward, defiantly asking what would happen if they should decline to join the Empire. And, well, sadly, he was quickly answered. A Stormtrooper shot him on the spot. Our hero gazed at his fallen father, lying there with this blank, meaningless expression of death. Turns out that when in direct contest, freedom always loses to power. Without even realizing what he was doing, our protagonist numbly called out to the officer. He wanted to leave with them. The officer smiled like a Cheshire cat. He told the young man that the Imperial forces were only for the elite who had the self-discipline to follow orders. But the officer was feeling generous, so he issued a challenge. If the lad executed whoever he pointed at, then he could join. And so, our man killed one of his neighbors in cold blood without question. He was quickly funneled into the Imperial training program. On the first day, the battle-scarred instructor slammed down a blaster into the dirt. He told the recruits that the first man to kill 5 of the others would be accepted into the elite training, and they were going to keep repeating this exercise until the weak were cold. It took a few rounds, but the trooper made it through alive. But in every subsequent step of the training, the point was reinforced. All that matters is the mission. As individuals, they're nothing. There are no friends. You never look back. There is the objective and obedience, and nothing else. And frankly, they should be grateful for it. In this life, there is no natural arc which reveals itself and makes everything clear. That is the fantasy of an introspection which only ever serves to distract and weaken. But don't worry about it. The Empire has a fix for all that. Under their loving arms, they have forged purpose, structure, and order onto a galaxy that had none. And now, all that's left to do is fall in line. For a moment, the Stormtrooper shakes back to reality. He shudders, as if struck by a winter gale. The heavy, metallic breathing can only mean one thing. Vader. The Dark Lord looms over the commanding sergeant like a shadow, barking at him to clear the rebel ship with the utmost precision. Our trooper hears the kid behind him wet himself, and he curses the day he ever decided to join the Empire. He was young and a fool, but can you blame him? Before he joined, he never had left his home planet, but in an instant, he had food, clothes, shelter, and he got to see things and places no one in his family had ever dreamed of. However, the truth was that in all the fantastic places he traveled to, all he ever did was terrible, ugly, despicable things, and he doesn't know if any of the people he did it to deserved it. Training taught him to throw such thoughts out of mind. But after running the same script time after time, it's hard not to see patterns, you know? You look around one day and it's as if you've awakened from a cumbersome dream. The bridge between is blurred, and things don't feel quite as real as they're supposed to. And you tell yourself that surely, at some point, you obviously became the stranger you see in the mirror. That's undeniable. But one can say a thing and never actually feel it. The Stormtrooper thinks back to an exhausting day not too long ago when he was on assignment to a dead-end planet, much like his own Greater Marianas. The strangest occurrence marked that day. His comrades had captured a dissident who shouted at them that the Empire was destined to lose. He screamed that man can suffer a lot, but he'll never give up the freedom he was born with under the stars. Our trooper immediately shot him. It seemed instinct at first, but so do many other things that overlay fear. However, now the Stormtrooper feels nothing, even as his sergeant selects him to be the first man to breach the rebel ship. The droids get to work, cutting open an entrance, and the others get into position behind the trooper. He'll almost certainly be shot, but the theory is that it will open a window for the next man to engage the enemy. The Stormtrooper vows that if he makes it through with this, he's done. He'll cut the ID chip straight out of his neck if he has to. But it's go time. An explosive is planted onto the metal, and the men brace themselves. If they're lucky, when it blows, it will knock the rebels off their feet. And so the timer reaches 0 with a loud bang, and the trooper charges inside, guns blazing. And he doesn't die off the bat. It's a miracle. In fact, the sergeant is the first one to drop when he gets shot in the head. But for a moment, the trooper is unstoppable. He stands out in the open, blasting down rebel fighters as if they're stationary targets. Could it be fate itself guiding his aim? The rebels in the corridor drop their weapons and surrender. The Stormtrooper studies them with deep interest. He once heard of this TIE fighter pilot who went AWOL on a particularly bloody mission. Next time he was seen, it was behind the controls of an X-Wing. In any case, Lord Vader boards the ship next, and he kills a rebel to make a point to the others. Vader commands the Stormtroopers to comb the rest of the ship, blasters set to stun, because he wants any others kept alive. But the trooper is hardly listening. He's thinking of that TIE pilot. He's thinking of the rebels. And most importantly, he's thinking of his father and his quaint frontier philosophy. Those beautiful, brilliant words he had once dismissed, they ring loudly through his head like a chorus. And at the height of it all, the prettiest girl he's ever seen steps out of the shadows and shoots him square in the face. The trooper feels the blood pool in his mask. He can barely make out the muffled sounds as the others zap the woman with their stuns. She'll be all right, but the Stormtrooper won't be. He's cold and tired, but through it all, he tries his best to focus on the dwindling light he sees in front of him. As with all things, it's swallowed up by nothingness. But nonetheless, he died believing in it. Our next super quick story begins in a sweaty gambling hall filled with a colorful compendium of alien species. There's a high-stakes game going on, and someone's very angry. A young man jolts up from the table, vehemently accusing his opponent of cheating. It's simply not possible for him to have the cards he does. The aliens look at the kid quizzically, but the accused figure seated across from him merely asks how he would presume to know that in the first place. The lad stutters over himself and drops the entire thing. It's Lando Calrissian. The players all roar in laughter at his expense, and Lando bitterly snaps at them that they lost too, remember? However, they find this dainty jab even more funny, and in between breaths, a many-eyed, tentacled fellow chuckles that none of them lost near as much as him. Lando hangs his head and quits the table. But as he walks away, his opponent calls out to him, asking if he forgot a little certain something. The young man slowly turns around, and he begrudgingly hands over a slip of paperwork. How the hell is he supposed to get off this planet now? A few more well-won rounds later, Lando's victor shakes a few hands and excuses himself from the game. It's about time to go see his prize. The mystery man's furry companion roars out a question, which he quickly deciphers and answers. Yes, Lando did cheat, but so did he, and he did it better. The man confidently punches in the access code to the hangar pad. The doors whirl open in dramatic effect, revealing his brand new ship, the Millennium Falcon, now under the happy ownership of its new co-pilots, Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Kowalski, analysis.
So that was Star Wars by Garth Ennis. What did you all think? I thought it was pretty good. Ennis is known for doing quite a bit of war comics, and that's basically what he did here as well. And I mean by that, basically taking what are often treated as nameless, faceless grunts and exploring their interiority, which is often lost to history. And I think for a singular issue, I think that was pretty impressive. So genuinely big commendations there. I mean, it was just well done, okay? It was a complete narrative in an age when decompression rules the medium. I guess even back in 2001 when the Trooper story came out. And, it's kind of interesting, too, because I don't know if Ennis is necessarily like a big Star Wars, I don't know if he cares about the like Jedi lore and stuff like that. And as well, I'm kind of curious how the broader Star Wars fan base reacts to a more fixed, harder edge take of their material. But independent of all that, there were some minor things I didn't like as much, which I can't really blame Ennis for, because once again, it was a one-shot. Okay. Look, I don't like cartoony villains in the manner of like the Empire levying 85% tax rate with zero benefits, or the nonsense Stormtrooper training where they have most of the recruits kill each other. It's just stupid, man. It's just stupid, bruh. I guess what I'm objecting to really is when ridiculous shit is played completely seriously. It's like the mismatch. Look, if you're trying to tell a serious story, I don't like the hyperbolic cartoon evil stuff, even if I'd be fine with that stuff elsewhere. Okay, anyway, so that's the first story. As to the second, I suppose I didn't think much of it. It's just kind of like a 5 or 6 page nothing crammed into an anthology book. I don't even know what the point of that stuff is, like a lot of the time. I mean, for creators, it's a means of dipping their toes into things. But for readers, there's just not like enough to even form an opinion on, or even leave much of an impression. And I'm talking about the ultra short stuff. And I mean, also don't get me wrong, the art is good and stuff. Okay, I'm not knocking that. Yeah. There's just not enough meat on the rib. Okay. Regardless of all that, just let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As for me, I guess I'll get back to work. I do quite like the Dark Horse Star Wars comic stuff. Honestly, this video was kind of a way to touch on it. And probably the only way I plausibly can. But yeah, I'll stop yapping, okay? I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good one.